Most of us start our mornings with reading about bad things in newspapers wars, riots, tragedies, people dying everywhere. So when you wind up feeling like the world sucks, it's kind of sort of understandable. But if you were to compare what is happening now with what has happened before, the world actually is more peaceful and inclusive than it's ever been. Hello and welcome to another episode of Whack and Epified. This week, we will discuss and debate about how safe our world has become in reality and things that are helping it to stay that way. Yes, there are terrible things happening in the world right now. ISIS is running rampage in the Middle East, North Korea with the nuclear weapons, the terrible refugee crisis in Europe, but it's time to get a perspective. When you compare the number of people dying in local fights now to the approximately 175 million people who perished in the 20th century wars, it all starts to look like a school playground scuffle in comparison. Of course, the 20th century was a weird time. It was when countries thought that trampling over other countries and races that they didn't like was totally cool. Might was right, even when it was being completely wrong. What did all that bullying lead to? 2 world wars for starters, which killed a combined total of like 80 million people worldwide. Yes, 80 freaking million. For the first time, war reached our homes with fighter jets bombing cities to rubble. And most of all, the world was introduced to the diabolical power of a nuclear bomb. The incredible costs of war, and especially a nuclear bomb, scared countries out of getting into armed fights. The United Nations was formed where countries could talk it out instead of warring outside. The UN also helped keep peace in volatile areas of the world. Since then, fighting has been limited to local clashes, like civil wars and terrorism. They are bad, no doubt. It's just that they kill a lot lesser people than full-scale wars between nations. For example, the average global deaths due to terrorist attacks in the last 10 years since 9/11 was 568 people a year, which is a drop in the ocean compared to the millions who die because of smoking and drunk driving. Another reason why the world has turned the page on war is because of all the money there is to be made now. The world's getting richer, and countries have realized that they are better off making their citizens better off. More than war, the young want jobs and fancy things. That's why this era of global peace coincided with the incredible rise of India and China, where millions rose out of poverty in a few decades and many more got rich. That's almost 3 billion people who are now too optimistic about life to ever want to go to war over a silly boundary. Then there's Africa, the former hotbed of civil wars and famines, which is now the fastest growing region in the world. As a result, Africans are now richer and longer lived, and more hopeful about the future too. They too have a huge stake now in maintaining the peace and prosperity. Rising prosperity also means that people have access to medical and health facilities. Infant mortality rates and adult deaths caused by malaria and HIV have also nosedived. India's mortality rate has halved since 1990, when economic reforms started pulling people out of poverty big time. Yes, we have many miles to go. When the health of a country improves, families get smaller. The fertility rate, which is the average number of kids a woman gives birth to, has been falling all over the developing world. This also means that there are fewer people available for overexcited armies to draft in on short notice to go fight whenever they want. All this begs the question, why is the news always bad then? Well, the simple and short answer would be because bad things do happen. Albeit on a smaller scale, and they usually make the best news stories. We just take the good stuff that happens around the world for granted. But you have the liberty to feel good. So go for it. And thanks for watching this episode. Spread some positive energy by liking and sharing this across the interweb. Subscribe to our channel and do let us know what you think about your piece of world peace.
Be self-aware when you're doing things like that, especially talking on your phone really loudly. It's not cool to talk loudly on your phone.
The miner worked for many days and dug out a tunnel under the palace with an exit into the forest.